what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take a listen to a project that I've been working on for a while now. It's been almost, not almost a year, about 6 months, maybe 7 months now. The project is simply dubbed right now A Hero in His Own Head. So, what I did for this project was I blended piano and chip tunes together. And I know if you followed me on my Facebook channel and my streams there, you probably heard some of this before, but that's okay. I'm still somewhat new to Twitch. I'd like to bring that over to the Twitch side so people can kind of get a chance to look at the work I've done and kind of break that down. So this is another one of those projects that I'm not being commissioned to do. I don't actually have like a quote unquote game per se. I did make an RPG Maker MV like stock thing to give some visual reference to this project, but there's nothing like set in stone. I'm not very familiar with game coding or anything like that, so I have a lot of work to do if I want to go that route. But the overall story of this that I'm kind of getting at with this project is exactly as the name implies, that the protagonist Colton really thinks that he is a hero, and people have been kind of enabling him to believe so in his little town, and kind of quickly realizes that maybe that's not what he's meant to do, or maybe he's not quite hero material. And the songs that I composed, the tracks that I composed for this, that's what they're meant to do, is to kind of tell this story. And that's really how I've been making music more recently than not. I've been trying to tell lots of stories with my music without any vocals. So we'll listen to this a little bit at a time tonight. I do have a total right now of 10 tracks. So not sure if we're going to get to all 10 of those tonight. I may do 5 this evening. We'll break those down, and depending on how it goes, I'll include more. Or if it's not, if it's not, it's pretty quiet, or I don't feel like we have enough time to go through all 10 of those, we'll go ahead and split this up into a 2-part series. The last one I did was very successful, had a lot of interaction. So feel free to hop in if you're in here, you want to say hi, don't be shy, it's okay. But let me go ahead and grab the first chiptune track that I did with the pianos. And we'll give this one a listen real quick, okay? This one's pretty funky. Let me see if I can find. Okay. Just keep this in mind. This is what started this entire project with this little dancing piano. Okay? So this one is simply titled, this very first track of this whole project is simply titled A Hero in His Own Head. So let's give this one a listen. I'll break it down. Leave some feedback in the comments, or if you want to just say hi while doing so, I'll get back to you right when we're done listening. So this is, again, A Hero in His Own Head. All right, so yeah, that's quite the quite the introduction. That again was a hero in his own head. So this is what started this whole piano chiptune project, okay? And again, this is a little bit longer of an intro song, but I have deliberately have this kind of like majestic, heroic music, because this is being essentially. I want the person listening to this, or should you ever the game ever come out, if I ever decide to try to make one, I want you to understand like this person really thinks he's a big deal. He's a hero, but he's not, and that's kind of where this I kind of clash that where I kind of go right here. And that like kind of little like funky bass and sound is there on purpose to kind of like pull you out of the hero's head here. That so his head is like going on with all this like, hey, this piano's awesome, and then like the reality of it is, whoops, like you're not really that big of a deal. And I did that on purpose. I'm trying to shy away from the tropes. I am so playing all the RPGs from the 90s that I played, and the young man is banished, or young woman, they're banished from their village, or their village, that's always a big thing. The village gets destroyed. Yeah, there's some tropes that I like to keep just for the sake of nostalgic purposes, but I kind of want to flip the trope on its head, where he thinks he's awesome and he's not. Like, he's really not that good, and he's not really hero material. So at least to start. So that's a hero in its own head. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're just joining me, hello. We're just doing a let's listen of the piano chiptune project I've been working on for a little over half a year now. So we're just kind of showing some progress here. So that's the first track. Okay, now let's jump into the second one. This one is called The First Real Adventure. Now I do have to warn you about this one, is there are portions that you're going to hear it where the piano doesn't quite line up with the rest of the audio. And at first I thought that was a mistake and I was going to try to fix it, but it actually works out. And I'll tell you why I feel that way in just a moment, and like what my thought process is behind it. So this one again is called The First Real Adventure. So following this story, you listen to a hero in his own head, and Colton is kind of not really there to be a hero. He thinks he is, but he's not. This is going to be him going on his first adventure that he thinks is like a big deal. And like, he's like, oh, I can do this. So let's listen to this now, and tell me what you think. If you want to say hi in the chat, or let me know what you think, and I'll get back to your chat conversation as soon as this one's done. So again, I present to you The First Real Adventure. All right, so the first real adventure, I see Tyler liked the bass. Thank you. Yeah, it was kind of working out the way it didn't expect. So, a couple of things with this track, okay? Did you hear this part here? I mentioned, remember, I said I warned you that the piano in this track is not always lining up with the rest of the music. So listen to this carefully and tell me, you can kind of hear it not quite lined up to the flute. And I did that in a couple of places, and I did that on purpose. Actually, I did that by accident at first. And then I kind of came to the conclusion that it fits. Why does it fit? Because, again, following the story, that Colton, the hero, or the protagonist, I guess, even though he's not really a hero for the purpose of this story, he's kind of aloof as it is. He doesn't really belong fighting or doing these adventures. So the piano's there again to like, oh, you're kind of stumbling along. You're not quite getting it. You think you're getting the idea of being on an adventure. And no, he doesn't. So did this on purpose. It still has that adventure feel. I don't want it to be like a lame RPG sound. This could be like, I imagine this is like the one of the first dungeons and possibly later on, or exploration areas where again you're starting to kind of realize like the main character Colton, yeah, he's he's in a bit of trouble. So that's that one. We're gonna listen to this in a little bit out of order in the sequence that I did this. Okay, so you can't have an RPG without RPG music. So like fight music, I should say. Like if you don't have good fight music, it kind of sucks, in my opinion. I've heard some really awful fight music before, battle music, but then I've heard some really good ones. So we're gonna actually listen to this a little bit out of order on purpose. Okay, so this one we're going to do. It's called "Strike Them Down," and this would be just like a random encounter theme. It's a little bit short, but it does what I need it to do. And my favorite part is you'll hear it, the piano drops. But let's let this one a listen. I might loop it twice just so we can listen to it and break it down more. But this is called Strike Them Down. Some of you may have heard this before. That's okay. I'm just breaking down this project into smaller parts for everybody. So again, here is Strike Them Down. Yep, so battle music, okay? I did end up being able to loop this. I didn't do it for the sake of this track or the stream, but watch what happens at the end, that you can essentially play this on a loop forever and ever, and it'll always loop and sound normal, which is nice. So we'll listen to this last part. You'll see it kind of hop back into the beginning all over again. Or you know, if it'll actually play, that'd be awesome. That's okay. All right, hang on just a sec. There we go. That's why. Okay. Slight technical difficulty. It's all good. Okay, one more time. This should do it. Or not, but we'll see. All right, it's not working. That's okay. But it does loop, so you could listen to this over and over again. Looks like my DAW is being a little bit silly tonight, probably for neglecting it for so long, but that's okay. But so this is a battle theme that would be a random encounter. So not a boss battle, just a random encounter. And again, want it memorable enough that you want to do random encounters. Obviously, I don't want to make it like insane, like, the Breath of Fire 1 encounter rate was utterly absurd. If you ever played that, every like 4 steps you had to fight somebody. It was awful, but I wouldn't want it to that extent, but still want enough that you'll remember that music. Okay, so now we're actually going to jump over to a different section here. Okay, this is the villain, his main theme, because early on in the story, Colton goes on his first adventure. He's battled a couple of monsters and gained whatever little experience that he can get. And he is going to come across this, what I call the antagonist, Faltros. I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you. I see that face, Tyler. That's hilarious. I'm not going to give you the whole backstory, but what you need to know is like this guy, Faltros, is not to be messed with at all. Like, probably not a good point for Colton to even be facing him down or even just having a conversation with him. But this is Faltros's theme. It sounds a little funky, ethereal, or even like out of, kind of like it doesn't really match or coincide with the rest of the piano chiptune stuff, but it does because Faltros really isn't from where Colton comes from. He's from like a whole different planet. So let's give this one a listen. It's kind of funky, but. Yeah, so a little slower, but kind of foreboding. Okay, so that's Faltros, and I have this story set up that Colton's meeting him for the first time like an idiot. Like, there's no nice way to put that. He goes off and goes and confronts this guy. He's completely inexperienced, and this guy's pretty much telling him, like, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to kill everybody that I meet in your town because you're a fool for trying to even come over here." So keep this in mind. This is again being played a little bit out of order for you. This track was made after the battle theme for Faltros, which I'm going to share in just a moment. So this came after that. And there's this part that I want you to listen carefully to here because you'll hear it a little bit later. So you just heard that little segment there, okay? Now I want you to listen to this next track, which is really called The Reality of Heroics. It's called that again on purpose. In this scene that I have, if you see, check out my YouTube channel sometime. You can find it. I'll drop a link. I have a very short playthrough of a hero in his own head where I showed this. That Faltros theme is not in that video because I hadn't made it yet. I just was using another track from the project, but that's the track you would hear when he's meeting Faltros for the first time, and then that's the recurring Faltros theme. Now we're going into The Reality of Heroics. Okay, this one's kind of wild, but listen carefully. You just heard that kind of piano sound that I heard, and now this is going to be the battle theme of Faltros. So I changed the pitch a little bit, made it a lot faster, and it's going to get really intense. And just to set you up for this, Colton isn't prepared, but he feels like he has to try to fight this guy because, again, idiot thinks he's a hero, and you'll see what happens, what develops from there. So here is The Reality of Heroics. Whoop, never mind, I lied. Hang on a second. I think it's this one. Way to go, James. There we go. Okay. Where did I put that? That's what I get for doing that. Okay. Let's see. There it is, the boss fight. Okay. All right. This is The Reality of Heroics. Get ready. Yeah, so pretty intense battle. I will tell you in the demo that I released for the like the just the gameplay visuals to give you a visual story of this. The whole track doesn't even play because Colton just gets absolutely annihilated. So, but this would be the track. And did you hear what I was talking about? Okay, where you start hearing that was in the Faltros theme, but slowed down a lot. So I did that on purpose. And I remember I told you in previous projects I like to do that sometimes, incorporate things, or can I use that in another type of track, or like in another track can I reincorporate that? So that's what I did there. So this is pretty intense. And yeah, it's pretty wild that this building off on top of this. So this is a pretty intense track for a battle theme, and let's kind of see what happens. So just imagine that. Okay, awesome, you were able to fight Faltros, and let's see kind of what happens now. And we'll give this one a listen. Okay, good. This is it. All right. This is called Face to Face with the Consequences. And it's a little heavy, but this is kind of as the title implies. It's, yeah, it's kind of like cold loss. So let's kind of hear what happens. I'll leave the rest up to your imagination, but. All right, so that is Face to Face with the Consequences. Yep, and as the title implies and as the tone of the music implies, it's supposed to be pretty emotional and heavy. Like it's kind of like that realization. This is that realization Colton has that like I messed up big time. Probably should not have not cut out to not really the hero that I was assuming I was and that everybody said I was. Um, and that's kind of what happens here. Like I'll leave that up to your imagination. That like it's pretty much at the brink of death. Like it's pretty awful. So a lot of consequences result in his stupidity of trying to face off against somebody that he has zero experience and zero business really getting into that with. So yeah, that is face to face with the consequences. So what I'm going to do tonight is I don't want to listen to all of these for everybody all at once. I'm going to break this up into two segments. So what I'm going to do is we're at about 40 minutes right now, which is fine. I keep these streams a little bit shorter for this purpose. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue the Let's Listen part two of the reality or the hero in his own head coming up the following Tuesday, possibly Sunday if I decide to play like a short game. Sundays I do my streams. I play a little bit of a game, a random game, and then we listen to some music. So I may switch it over to that. But I really do hope everybody enjoyed this. Thank you so much for checking this out. Please, if you're even catching this later on, feel free to shoot me a message and let me know what you think. Reach out to me on my Bandcamp page, Facebook, wherever you want to find me. Let me know what you think. I love connecting with my audience and I love hearing feedback from everybody. So with that, I hope you all have an awesome night and I will see you on the next stream.